Hi active friends, I wanted to wind up my week waxing lyrical about grounding by doing a little demo video for you where you can actually see the difference between when I'm grounded and when I'm not grounded, when I'm acting. So I'm actually going to do a little demo for you here. But before I do, I want to just quickly address what is grounding really, just in case you're kind of not on board with this. I am so passionate about grounding because it can really up level your acting. It's essentially getting connected to the earth and to your body, which makes a huge difference because it takes you out of your head and into your body. So you're actually experiencing, you're actually living dynamically in your body when you're acting. Energetically, what it's doing when you're kind of connecting yourself to the earth and to your body is it's stopping that wall that kind of comes up. You know, when you're stuck in your head and you feel like you're forcing a scene, it feels like you're pushing, and it also feels like it's kind of here. Often this is what it feels like when you're forcing. You're working sort of up from the chest up to the top of your head, and there's this energy of kind of trying to push a scene. You're forcing kind of outwards, rather than when you're grounded, it moves kind of more from like that heart center down to, now you can't see my hand, but I'm holding down kind of near my hips, like below my belly button even. So down near your abdominals really, and even lower where you can kind of feel through your legs and into your pelvic floor even, can help you feel connected and grounded down into the earth. Sitting in that kind of center where it feels like everything's happening lower in your body, what it does is firstly, you can connect more easily to all of your body. So you're not going to get that sense of like, what am I doing with my hands? When we're up here, it often ends up being like your hands are disconnected from the rest of you because you're only operating with a small part of yourself, and that doesn't really include your hands. So that can happen very easily. And the other thing is that your emotions often sit a lot lower in your body. It's also easier to access those emotions because you're breathing deeply into your diaphragm, and that's where a lot of that is. So you can expand into that lower body. It allows you to access your power, it allows you to access more volume, and you just are naturally acting easier. Things come more naturally. So let's actually put that in place for a sec. I'm going to give you an example, and I want you to do this too. So if you have got a monologue or something that you're working on, a scene or something, if you can grab that, and I want you to imagine that you've got all your energy that's kind of working from here upwards, you know, trying to channel that feeling of forcing a scene. If you've ever had that time where you're like, I'm trying to connect with emotion, and it just feels like not great, it feels pushed. I want you to just think energy coming from here upwards and outwards. So this is the kind of like bad example, so the not connected example. So we're going to do that first so you can feel what it feels like when it's not connected, when it's not great. So I'm going to do for you just a tiny bit of Helena's Then I Confess here on my knee. And actually, if you want, in my self-tape that's on YouTube of me doing this, I'm actually not grounded. I'm not grounded enough, and my voice is actually quite high, and my voice sits quite high in my range, and it doesn't move very much. So that's another thing that you can actually hear in either in yourself or in someone else when they're not grounded, as their voice gets maybe higher. So if you ever get told your voice is kind of sitting like high in your range, which is something I used to get told a lot when I was younger, chances are you're actually not grounded. It might be nothing to do with your actual vocal range. It's really common. So if someone's saying to you, I don't really believe what you're saying, or your voice is sounding kind of high, ground yourself and then see what happens. So anyway, let's get back to it. Hopefully by now you've grabbed your monologue or whatever you're working on. And I'm going to do a little demo for you. I want to see what you think. So here I am. I'm thinking up from here. Then I confess, here on my knee, before high heaven, and you, that before you, and next unto high heaven, I love your son. So just that little bit, you can probably hear my voice is like, I feel like I'm breathing up high, I feel tense, and it feels pushed, it feels like not real at all, not truthful. So now I'm just gonna quickly ground myself. I'm just gonna sort of swivel my hips a little bit, That helps me loosen up my abdominals, actually, where you're gonna let yourself breathe deeply. If everything's tight around there, you're not gonna be able to breathe easily. So just loosening that up. So just kind of swinging your hips around, even in a figure eight. Excuse me, my terrible lighting in here. And while I'm doing that, I'm feeling the floor. I'm rolling around on the sort of sides of my feet around, this is what my feet are doing. And I'm noticing my feet connect with the floor as well. And that helps me kind of feel connected to my body because of all those nerve endings. I think it's like 20,000 nerve endings in your feet or more. And then just to help me relax even a little bit more, not relax, ground down, I'm gonna get my feet kind of strong. I'm bending my knees a little bit, almost like I'm gonna go into like a horse stance, like it's a, you know, I'm doing a bit of a martial arts sort of warm up. And if that's something that you're familiar with, that can really help. So Tai Chi, any sort of martial arts can really help. Horse stance, so you're dropping your pelvis, can really help as well. So you can always do a little bit of punching. Can't see me, but I'm doing this. That helps kind of connect to my breath as well. But the biggest thing that I love to do is what I call the sigh and sag. So I'm just going to go, and I'm just really letting myself kind of flop. I'm letting myself fall kind of downwards. There's a downward motion. I'm sighing in a low area of my vocal range. I'm letting my tongue sag as well. So my body is kind of sagging, except for my legs are strong. The rest of me is kind of letting go. That tongue sag also opens up your throat and moves your soft palate. It lets everything kind of fall into position. And a sigh is a natural kind of release for us in terms of your nervous system. So there's lots of great things going on there, even if it sort of seems a bit weird. So I do this a lot in coaching. So just do a couple of those. You can hear how low it is in my range. And as soon as I do that, it's easier for me to access the lower range of my voice as well, because I'm getting rid of a lot of vocal tension, which I have a lot of. I need to do it again because I just got more just saying that. Okay. So now I'm going to do that little bit of monologue again. So hopefully you've just been playing along with me, just reconnecting to your body. And I'm going to do that scene again. I'm going to think about keeping the energy from kind of my, let's say, heart chakra down to my sort of sacral, or what's the root chakra. So all the way down into your pelvic floor, that area of your body. So this downwards into the pelvic floor. I'm going to think about keeping the energy there, not here, but my energy is going to move down as I do the scene. So I'm thinking about sitting, almost sitting in that energy is how I describe it. Sit in that feeling. I'm going to take a second just to kind of recall what happens before I speak in this monologue. She's feeling a lot of tension, Helena. She's concerned about what she's going to say, but I'm going to sit in that feeling. I'm not going to force it upwards. It's coming into my tummy even, that feeling. And I confess, here on my knee, before high heaven and you, that before you and next into high heaven, I love your son. So you can hear vocally even then, it's just different, right? It feels different to me. And I would probably play with maybe finding a slightly stronger emotion for that scene because it's appropriate. But if I'm on camera, often the less is more. It works really well. So find that truthfulness first. This is good for contemporary or classical material, but particularly with Shakespeare, because you're finding a balance between that truthfulness that we might associate with, screen acting, for example, or contemporary acting, plus being able to access the power, the vocal power and the vocal openness and the emotional openness that's associated with classical acting and heightened stakes and big text and poetry and all that kind of thing. You're balancing those things. You need to be grounded to access your full power and the full power of the text. That makes sense. So that's kind of my demo for you. I really want you to play with that. And even if you're really not sure what I'm talking about, just keep playing with the idea of what does it feel like when I push upwards versus what does it feel like when I sit in it. I sit down into it with strong legs and an openness in kind of my tummy, I guess. Release all of that. Should feel good actually, and powerful. Drop me your comments. I would love to hear, what still doesn't sit well for you. What are you wondering about? What can I clarify? And if you haven't yet, look back through my past posts from the past week. I've been talking a lot about grounding. I've had a few reels where I've kind of given some quick hints of ways to access those things, and hopefully that's helped you. I really believe if you concentrate on grounding, it can actually really up level what you are doing as an actor. And that's all from me today. Catch you guys next time.